We are living in an era where the boundary between science fiction and absolute reality has completely dissolved. For decades, the subject of unidentified flying objects, extraterrestrial life, and visitors from other worlds was relegated to the absolute fringes of society. It was the domain of conspiracy theorists, late-night radio shows, and Hollywood blockbusters. Those who claimed to have seen something impossible in the sky were dismissed, ridiculed, and silenced. The official stance of the world's most powerful governments, particularly the United States, was a wall of absolute denial. Project Blue Book was closed. The official narrative was that there was nothing to see, nothing to fear, and certainly nothing of extraterrestrial origin operating in our atmosphere. But recently, the world experienced a seismic shift. The dam of secrecy broke. In an unprecedented sequence of events, the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, and the FBI began to declassify and release data that shattered our understanding of our place in the universe. We watched in stunned silence as military whistleblowers, high-ranking intelligence officials, and decorated fighter pilots sat before the United States Congress under oath. They did not speak in riddles. They spoke of non-human biologics recovered from crash sites. They spoke of advanced aerospace vehicles, completely defying our known laws of physics, operating with impunity in restricted airspace. They spoke of a shadow apparatus within the government that had been hoarding extraterrestrial technology for nearly a century. Simultaneously, the FBI's digital reading room, the vault, saw a surge of attention as previously buried documents were brought into the blinding light of public scrutiny. Documents like the infamous Guy Hoddle memo, which plainly discussed the recovery of flying saucers and biological entities in New Mexico, were no longer dismissed as mere rumors, but scrutinized as part of a larger, terrifyingly real tapestry of government knowledge. The United States government, through the establishment of offices like AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, essentially admitted to the world, we are not alone, we have never been alone, and we do not control our own skies. The paradigm shifted overnight. Humanity was suddenly forced to confront the chilling, exhilarating reality that highly advanced non-human intelligences have been interacting with our planet. But as the world scrambled to make sense of these monumental revelations, a profound and eerie question began to emerge from the shadows of esoteric history. What if this exact moment, this precise unsealing of government vaults, this forced confession by the powers that be, and the revelation of visitors from the stars, was predicted almost a century ago? What if the roadmap for this cosmic disclosure was already written by a man who possessed no military clearance, no political power, and no scientific background, but who had an unprecedented connection to the fabric of the universe itself? Long before the Roswell crash of 1947, long before the term flying saucer was even coined, there was a man named Edgar Cayce. Born in 1877, Cayce would become the most documented clairvoyant in modern history. Known as the sleeping prophet, he would lie on a couch, enter a state of deep, self-induced trance, and access what he called the Akashic Records, the universal energetic database of all past, present, and future events. In this sleep state, Cayce delivered over 14,000 documented readings. He accurately predicted the onset of World War II, the shifting of the Earth's poles, the stock market crash of 1929, and the invention of revolutionary technologies. But hidden deep within the staggering volume of his transcripts are prophecies that, for decades, seemed too bizarre, too fantastical for even his most devout followers to fully comprehend. Only now, in the wake of the recent FBI and Pentagon disclosures, do Cayce's words snap into terrifyingly clear focus. Edgar Cayce predicted the UFO disclosure. He saw the vaults opening. He saw the empires of men being forced to admit their ultimate powerlessness in the face of cosmic visitors. While deep in trance during the 1930s, Cayce spoke of a time in the future when the great hidden archives of the world would be unsealed. He often referred to the Hall of Records, a concept many believed was strictly limited to a physical chamber buried beneath the paws of the Great Sphinx in Egypt. However, esoteric scholars and researchers analyzing Cayce's work now realize that his vision of the Hall of Records was multifaceted. He spoke of a time of uncovering, an era when the keepers of secrets in the modern world, the temporal powers, the governments, the shadowy councils of men, would be stripped of their ability to hide the truth. Cayce stated that as humanity approached a critical juncture in its spiritual and technological evolution, the veils of deception would be violently torn down. He prophesied that records of ancient, advanced technologies and knowledge of entities not of this earth would be forced into the public consciousness. Look at what is happening right now in Washington. Look at the declassified videos like the Nimitz Tic Tac, the gimbal, and the Go Fast footage. We are seeing crafts that possess no visible means of propulsion, no exhaust, no control surfaces. They travel at hypersonic speeds, stop on a dime, and transition seamlessly from the vacuum of space, through our atmosphere, and deep into our oceans without losing momentum. Modern physicists are baffled, but Edgar Cayce would not have been. Over 80 years ago, Cayce detailed the exact propulsion systems that these UAPs are currently using. In his readings concerning the ancient, highly advanced civilization of Atlantis, Cayce described flying machines that he called airships or veils. He stated explicitly that these crafts did not use combustion or fossil fuels. Instead, they were powered by the manipulation of universal life force energy, utilizing enormous, perfectly cut crystals that could harness the power of the stars and the gravitational fields of the Earth. He described a method of propulsion based on overcoming gravity through resonance and frequency, allowing vessels to float through the air and traverse the depths of the ocean exactly as modern Navy pilots are currently reporting. When the modern government admits they are observing trans-medium vehicles operating with technology hundreds or perhaps thousands of years ahead of our own, they are validating Cayce's remote viewing of ancient technologies. But Cayce went further. He did not merely describe the machines, he described the pilots. The recent congressional hearings introduced the term non-human biologics. The intelligence community is carefully avoiding the word extraterrestrial, opting instead for terms like non-human intelligence or interdimensional entities. This nuance is absolutely vital, and it aligns perfectly with Edgar Cayce's cosmological predictions. Cayce's readings consistently suggested that life in the universe is abundant, diverse, and intimately connected to our own spiritual journey. He spoke frequently of Arcturus, the Pleiades, and Sirius. He described Arcturus not merely as a star system, but as a gateway, a way station for souls and entities moving into and out of our solar system. Cayce indicated that beings from other spheres of existence have always monitored Earth. He suggested that these visitors are not necessarily flying across the physical vacuum of space in tin cans, as depicted in 1950s sci-fi movies, but are navigating through higher dimensions, folding space and time, crossing over into our reality through frequency manipulation. This perfectly explains why modern UAPs seem to appear and disappear out of thin air, distorting radar and optical sensors. Cayce warned that the powers of the world would eventually have to confront these entities, not because the entities planned an invasion, but because humanity's destructive capabilities, particularly our mastery of atomic weapons, sent ripples through the fabric of the universe. It is no coincidence that the modern UFO phenomenon exploded in 1947, directly following the detonation of the first atomic bombs. According to Cayce's philosophy, all of creation is energetically linked. By splitting the atom, humanity did not just create a weapon. We rang a cosmic alarm bell. Cayce's readings hinted that visitors from higher realms would make their presence known when humanity stood on the precipice of self-annihilation. The recent disclosures by the government, the admission that these crafts frequently disable our nuclear missile silos and hover over our atomic energy facilities, are a direct manifestation of Cayce's vision. The Watchers have arrived to ensure the children of Earth do not burn down the nursery. So if Edgar Cayce foresaw this unsealing of the government vaults and the revelation of non-human intelligence, what does he say happens next? We are currently in the infancy of disclosure. The government has admitted the phenomenon is real, but they are still heavily guarding the core truths. According to the trajectory of Cayce's visions regarding the transition of ages, the drip feed of information we are experiencing today will inevitably turn into a torrential flood. Cayce's timeline suggests that we are entering an era where the old structures of power simply cannot contain the new vibrations of truth. In the immediate future, we can expect the revelations to move from abstract discussions of radar anomalies to undeniable physical proof. Cayce's predictions indicate that the next phase of this global awakening will involve the public unveiling of the recovered technologies. The shadow programs that have hoarded crashed materials will be exposed, forced by a combination of internal whistleblowers and external pressure from the visitors themselves. We will be shown the materials that make up these crafts, metamaterials engineered at the atomic level, elements that do not naturally occur on the periodic table, and biological interfaces that allow a pilot to merge their consciousness directly with the ship. But the disclosure will not stop at hardware. The most profoundly shocking revelation, which Cayce prepared his followers for, will be the truth regarding our own genetic and spiritual lineage. The government knows and will eventually be forced to admit that these visitors are not strangers. According to the deeper layers of Cayce's Akashic readings, the entities piloting these crafts are intrinsically linked to the origins of the human race. Cayce spoke of early humanity being influenced, guided, and even genetically altered by entities from the stars. He suggested that the great leap in human consciousness was not merely a random act of Darwinian evolution, but a seeded event. When the final layers of the FBI and military vaults are emptied, humanity will learn that we are part of a vast, cosmic family. The non-human biologics sitting in cryogenic storage in subterranean military bases are, in a very real esoteric sense, our distant ancestors or our future selves traversing the dimensions. This brings us to the ultimate question. If the reality of extraterrestrial intelligence is fully integrated into our society, if the skies open up and the visitors make overt, undeniable contact, will humanity survive? Will this revelation destroy our religions, collapse our economies, and plunge the world into apocalyptic chaos? Edgar Cayce's answer to this is the most crucial part of his entire legacy. Cayce did not view the coming of these entities or the uncovering of these secrets as the end of the world. He viewed it as the end of an illusion. He called this time period the transition from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. It is a time of immense turmoil, yes, but it is the turmoil of birth, not death. Cayce foresaw that the initial stages of full disclosure will indeed cause psychological and societal shockwaves. Fundamentalist dogmas will crumble. Religious institutions that have preached a human-centric, isolated universe will face an existential crisis. The global economic system, heavily reliant on fossil fuels and artificial scarcity, will be threatened by the revelation of zero-point energy and anti-gravity technologies recovered from these visitors. Those in power will try to maintain control by framing the visitors as a threat, attempting to weaponize the UFO phenomenon to unite humanity under a banner of militaristic fear. We are already seeing the seeds of this in the language used by some politicians, branding UAPs as a national security threat. But Cayce's prophecy promises that this fear-based narrative will fail. The entities visiting us, according to Cayce's alignment with universal laws, operate on a frequency of consciousness far beyond war, conquest, and destruction. If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done so centuries ago. Their technology is godlike compared to our rudimentary ballistic missiles. Their purpose, as seen through the lens of the sleeping prophet, is one of initiation. They are here to witness and assist in our planetary graduation. Cayce predicted that as the truth of our cosmic neighbors is fully digested, humanity will undergo a profound spiritual renaissance. The knowledge of extraterrestrial life will not destroy spirituality, it will elevate it. We will realize that the divine source, the creator that Cayce spoke of so fervently, is not confined to the earth, but breathes through every galaxy, every star system, and every dimension. We will understand that the soul is universal. As we move deeper into this century, the disclosures will shift from government hearings to direct, peaceful interaction. Cayce envisioned a future where humanity takes its rightful place in the cosmic neighborhood. The technologies gifted to us, or reverse engineered from the visitors, will be used to heal the earth. The ancient crystalline energy systems that Cayce saw in the ruins of Atlantis will be resurrected, not for war, but to provide limitless, clean energy for all of mankind. The diseases that plague us will be cured through vibrational and frequency-based medicine, concepts directly aligned with the technology observed in UAPs. Humanity will absolutely continue to exist, but we will not be the same humanity that went to sleep in the 20th century. We are mutating. Our consciousness is expanding. The breaking of the UFO secrecy embargo is simply the external manifestation of an internal, collective awakening. The vaults of the FBI and the Pentagon are merely physical reflections of the locked vaults within the human mind. As one opens, so does the other. Edgar Cayce told us to watch the skies, but he also told us to look within. The visitors are here to remind us of who we truly are. Spiritual beings having a human experience on a tiny, beautiful blue sphere, spinning in a universe teeming with life, magic, and boundless intelligence. The disclosure is no longer a prophecy, it is today's news. The sleeping prophet has spoken, and now the rest of the world is finally waking up.